Okay, everyone, welcome to Backyard Musings. We are broadcasting live from our living rooms because it's still rainy and cold outside. I'm Steve,
And I'm Scott.
and today we're going to be talking again about invasion. Yesterday, we talked about the definition of invasion. It's in the Constitution twice, in the Articles of Confederation twice, but we only talked about one instance. And and then we talked about some people think it's intrusion and enmity. And if you apply that to every single person on a person by person basis, they're probably not going to invade the country. But when it's applied to 500 or 1,000 being pushed across by traffickers or drug cartels, then it is an invasion. So today we're going to talk about the order, what why what is happening from this. So Scott, what has Mayorkis been saying continually in testimony before Congress?
The border is secure, and I don't know what his definition of secure is, but
Bold-faced.
yeah,
Bold-faced. That's a talking point. The border
exactly.
is secure.
It's
So
it's it's a marching order that he's told to take to Congress or whoever he's being interviewed by, and it's I mean, if you've watched any of those hearings, you watch those congressmen. Some of them are just they become just so aggravated, which I can understand. I mean, he's like a puppet. That
let me ask you this: if Mayorkas thinks that grabbing the illegal aliens, processing them with an NGO or with Border Patrol, getting them into the interior, if that means the border is secure, is he right if he says the border is secure?
my opinion, absolutely not. Anybody that comes into this country that is not either processed and then totally sent back to where they came from.
Right. But I'm just thinking they use workarounds. They work around the Constitution. So if
Yeah.
they word salad this or they set a narrative, it's secure because we're taking them into custody and we're giving them a court date.
I think those workarounds are easy when you don't even consider the Constitution a binding document.
Oh yeah, it's
All
about workarounds for the opposition party, for the other party.
Yeah, they do. They don't even consider the Constitution a valid piece of the way we follow the rules. It's a guide.
So if Mayorkas may think in his head that since we grab them and we take them into the interior, it's secure. What about the gotaways? It's not secure if the gotaways get away, right? That's not secure. Or the ones you don't even know about. That's not secure.
No, absolutely not. And at this point, what's the difference between a gotaway and one that they're processing and then bringing into the country? I mean, I don't think they're vetting these people at all.
The gotaway doesn't get airfare, doesn't get 3 hots a day in a hotel room.
Yeah, they're getting ripped off.
Yeah, they're getting ripped off. They
They
just turn themselves in. They'll get 3 hots a day.
Yeah. Probably a government credit card and a cell phone and whatever.
Obama phone.
Yeah, Obama phone.
So you got to ask yourself, with drugs coming across and people coming across, what is the goal or the end state that the Democrats want to achieve? Because the Republicans were able to lock down the border more or less and restrict people from coming in. What's this end state?
Yeah, that was stay in Mexico, right? They got to stay there until we can figure out what to do with
remain in Mexico.
Like we talked about a couple of days ago. I think this is creating voters for the Democratic Party.
It's a big gamble. If they don't vote Democrat, it's a big gamble.
Yep. It's creating more people that if they come into this country, they're gonna probably find a job, even though that's not supposed to happen. They're going to find a job, which means that they're going to buy things and they're going to pay taxes. There's a lot of positives for people that cheap labor, but it's killing our economy.
Yeah, and no cities or no states are allowing illegals to vote. No states are, but cities are. Cities are allowing. There's at least 12 municipalities: New York City. District of Columbia, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Oakland. They're issuing ID cards to allow them to vote locally. what's going to stop them from, oops, we made a mistake. We gave you the federal. Sorry. What's going to stop that?
I don't see anything that will,
No.
and I would bet that there are people out there probably working behind the scenes to make that more of a smooth transition.
Trust us. We'll make sure they only vote locally. Trust us. Just like the dead.
They shouldn't be voting at all. That's another thing.
So Gerald Nadler, he was quoted as saying regarding illegal aliens, he said, quote, "The U.S. needs many illegal immigrants in the country to pick vegetables and keep them from rotting," end quote. It's racist.
Oh, that is just, you talk about stereotyping. That I would, if I were a migrant worker that came here legally, and that was my sole profession, if you will, I would be livid. That is just demeaning to me. That if I came here legally, if I followed the process, I don't know. It just and Jerry Nadler is maybe not in the rest of the United States, but in New York, much of New York, he's a revered man, and I've never been able to figure that out.
Yeah, and if he would have just left it at coming to the country to pick vegetables, I'd have been fine with that. But then he throws in to keep them from rotting. Who cares if vegetables are rotting? I mean, when has the Democrats cared about that?
Yeah,
it's probably gassing and ruining the climate, adding to the climate crisis.
Another talking point, another spin. It just,
Okay, so voting and destabilizing in cities. Now, more brown people means changing the demographic, and I'm not for or against or anything like that. It's just a fact. You bring more brown people or dark brown people or light brown people, it changes the demographics. So I found some statistics. 2010 census and the 2020 census. These statistics are available. You can look online. In 2010, white people who identified white, 72.4%. Hispanic was the number 2, 18.7%, and black, 12.6%. 2020, the whites were 57.8%. That's a drop of
that's a huge drop.
14,
about 14, 15%.
Hispanic dropped too to 16.3%. That's a drop of 2.5%. And the black community dropped 0.5%. So where's the demographic? I mean, Asians create a very small. Is it maybe white people aren't having as many babies? I mean, I had a baby in 2019, so I replenished the earth. I did.
Well, there has been talk about that a lot more people are not reproducing
or dying too.
Right?
Yeah. So more illegal people in the United States means more destabilizing cities, counties, and states. Let's talk about these sanctuary cities that say, we give us your poor and your downtrodden, but when they show up, they start cutting budgets, right? What happens when they show up?
Well, they're a burden on the city, and usually, if you're not a border community, if you're talking about when they ship these people that have crossed the border and they ship them around the country, most of those people are inundated by this, and it's just compared to the amount of people that are coming across the border, it's a small amount. But
there's been big cities that have cut their budgets: Denver, New York City, Chicago, Los Angeles, slashing budgets, and they're mad that GOP governors are shipping into them. I found on the House Committee on Homeland Security that it was in I think a Phase 3 report. It said $500 billion cost by taxpayers each year due to illegal immigrants. Does this help Democrats distract from failed policies in communities?
Well, it's definitely a distraction probably, but it's not helping anybody. I mean, I don't care which way you vote. I don't care what the color of your skin is. It's affecting the community you live in, regardless of race, color, or creed. So it's
if you look at identity politics divides the nation. It really does. You look at Flint, Michigan. I'm from Michigan myself. It's voted Democrat for 84 years. Flint is urban blight. You look at Detroit, Michigan. No
Detroit.
GOP mayor since 1957.
And
Urban blight.
Detroit used to be a beautiful city.
Used to be beautiful. Where the auto worker, the average guy on the line, had a great cost of living the American dream, a house, a wife, child, dog. That's gone. Well, Chicago, the murder capital of the United States.
Oh, it's awful
Chicago.
there. I don't know. I don't know why people would want to continue to live there, other than they've been there for generations. But
Baltimore, yeah. Oakland, the last GOP mayor was in the 60s. Blight and crime, Baltimore and Oakland. Ferguson, Missouri, that's a suburb of St. Louis that kicked off the Michael Brown riots.
Right.
Hands up, don't loot. Hands up, don't shoot. So
right.
So that happened. So I found a quote here. When Democrats are in, this is from Investors Business Daily. When Democrats are in control, cities tend to go soft on crime, reward cronies with public funds, establish hostile business environments, heavily tax the most productive citizens, and set up fat pensions for their union friends. Simply put, theirs is a blue state blueprint for disaster. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I absolutely do. And California is a blueprint of that whole setup right there. It is. The state we live in is just, it's that to a T.
Yeah. All those cities that we listed, that's the blueprint. Dem-run cities. So, okay, that's all the time we have today, folks. But tomorrow we're going to continue the border talk because there's been a lot of talk about United States v. Texas and the razor wire. So we're going to talk about that standoff tomorrow. Thanks a lot, everyone, and thanks for joining, and click subscribe.
All right, guys, have a good day. Thank you.
Turn this off. Let's figure out how to turn this on now.
I gotta get a better